Henry David Thoreau, a famous transcendentalist and author of Civil Disobedience, once said, "I learned this at least by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours." This quote goes back to the idea of civil disobedience, which is what 4 men committed during the American Civil Rights Movement in 1960. At this time, there is a lot of racial segregation. A big reason for segregation was the Jim Crow laws, which were written to separate white from black people, and they erased all progress and equality made during the Reconstruction. African Americans were prohibited from using the same facilities as white people, from living in the same towns, from going to the same schools. They were unable to vote due to their inability to pass the literacy test, and they were even prohibited from marrying a white person. Another major factor is the Supreme Court case Plessy v. Ferguson, which calls all public facilities to be separate but equal. The event that drove the 4 men, also known as the Greensboro Four, to commit this act of civil disobedience was the brutal murder of Emmett Till, who was shot after allegedly whistling at a white woman. They were also inspired by the nonviolent protests of Mahatma Gandhi and the Freedom Rides, organized by the Congress of Racial Equality. The Greensboro Four included 4 men, Ezell Blair Jr., David Richmond, Franklin McCain, and Joseph McNeil, who all attended the North Carolina Agricultural and Technical College. These men were also receiving help and support from Ralph Jones, a white businessman. On February 1st, these 4 men went to Woolworth's Diner in Greensboro, North Carolina, and sat down at a segregated lunch counter. Due to the diner's policy to only serve white people at the lunch counter, they were refused service, but they remained seated. The police arrived at the scene but were unable to do anything due to the non-violence of the event. Jones also alerted the media, so they quickly arrived at the scene in order to cover the story on television. The men stayed until the store was closed and came back the following days with even more college students. By February 3rd and 4th, they had filled up every seat and spread out of the store onto the sidewalk. Because of the overflow of media coverage, sit-ins began taking place across the country. Various forms of peaceful protest spread to 55 cities in 13 different states by the end of March, and national media coverage brought a great deal of attention to the American Civil Rights Movement. It led to dining facilities across the South integrating their lunch counters. Civil disobedience is peacefully and outwardly disobeying a law because it is seen as wrong or immoral. The Greensboro sit-in is an example of civil disobedience because the Greensboro Four disobeyed the law that black people were not allowed to sit at a lunch counter because they saw it as unjust. Because of their decision, America took one step closer to racial equality.